Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. This is Joe, the bearded historian. He'll tell you an interesting story. Be careful of his soldiers, they can be brats. This is Angel, she's an entity. She'll cause chaos and plant her hands at you. This is Sue, she likes spirits, not the alcohol. She's the reason this channel exists. This is David, he likes fire trucks. He's here occasionally. Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. We preserve his story. Alright, we're running late because I got distracted by this.
First of all, hi. Bitch, I look fine.
This eye is darker than this eye, especially from this angle. It looks like a bruise. Okay, close this eye. She can follow directions. She knows how to close eyes.
Close this eye.
How do I do that?
I know how to close this eye.
Uh-huh. Right. Apparently she can't close one eye at a time, and she can't choose the eye that she closes. It's really not that hard. See? I do it. Now you do it.
It hurts.
Oh, there's squeaking in here. Alright, now, let's try this again. Start. Okay. We got She's Soul, Keep Digging, Trance. There's Net. There's M&J, Really Haunted. There's Oyan. There's Pedroza, there's Rooks, or Tox, Sylvia, and Jacob. And then we've got Keep Digging, Turtle, Bluegrass, Really Haunted, Anthony, One Busy, Mayhem, Swoop. There's Debbie, Traveling Van, Wit. There's Rubies, Neil, Tramps, Luscious, Alice, Pete. Oh, wow. And a note says K8, so fun. Alright, so Tux is a vlog hangout kind of place. Not a lot of information here, because why? But Diodago, food. She does lots of lives. They hang out and chat. If that's your thing, check her out, like, share, comment, and have a good day. Alright, Mr. Historian, what are we doing?
Well, for those of you who are above a certain age, the phrase, ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll, would be uttered on this date in 1981 at 12:01 Eastern Time. With that phrase, music television was launched, MTV. Now, interestingly enough, MTV did not have the original #1 out-of-the-box music television programming. A number of shows would focus on live performances, like the Midnight Special, In Concert, and the Old Grey Whistle Test, and numerous musical acts made music videos to accompany their songs, like the Beatles, Bob Dylan, ABBA, and Queen, but the concept and format had not yet been widely established. Well, in 1979, executives at the newly formed Warner American Express Satellite Entertainment Company felt teenagers were an overlooked and potentially lucrative audience and hoped to develop a television format to target them. MTV's original format was created by the executive Robert W. Pittman, later president and CEO of MTV Networks. He tested the format by producing and hosting a 15-minute show called Album Tracks on the New York City's WNBC TV in the late 1970s. Also of interest, stations like HBO had their video jukebox performances, and they actually were on the air a couple of months before MTV cracked into the networks. There was also Friday Night Videos, a neat little show that came on late nights. But this was the first channel that was going to be targeting strictly music videos around the clock. Pittman's boss, Warner Executive Vice President John Lack, had shepherded Pop Clips, a TV series created in the former Monkees network, Michael Naismith, whose attention had turned to music video format in the late 1970s. Well, with the breakthrough in August 1st, spoken by John Lack and played over footage of the first space shuttle launch, followed by a countdown for Columbia, which took place earlier that year, and the launch of Apollo 11, the words were followed by the original MTV theme song, a rock tune composed by Jonathan Elias and John Peterson, playing over the U.S. flag changed to show MTV's logo changing into different textures and designs. The MTV producers of Alan Goodman and Fred Siebert used the public domain footage as a concept. Siebert said they had originally planned to use Neil Armstrong's "One Small Step" quote, but lawyers said that Armstrong owned the name and likeness and that he had refused, so the quote was replaced with a beeping sound. A short version of the shuttle launch ID ran at the top of every hour in different forms from MTV's first day until it was pulled in early 1986 in wake of the Challenger disaster.
Oops.
Yeah. Now, first music video on MTV. Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. I've seen it probably 3,000 times in my lifetime, for some reason. Followed up by Pat Benatar's You Better Run. Now, occasionally, the screen would go black when an employee at MTV had to insert a tape into the VCR.
Whoops.
Now, MTV's lower third graphics near the beginnings and ends of videos eventually would use the recognizable cable typeface for about 25 years. But they varied on MTV's first day, set in a different typeface and including details such as the song's year and the record label. That way you can see what the song's name was, what album it was from. Sometimes they put in the writer and then, the company that put the album out. MTV's on-air programming was originally produced from the Teletronics studio facility at West 33rd Street in Manhattan, in New York. Program was then uplinked to satellite from a facility at Hauppauge, New York, that also served as the uplink station for sister networks Nickelodeon and the Movie Channel. Originally, then owned Warner Amex Satellite Entertainment had planned to uplink from a facility located at the studio of WIVB TV in Buffalo, where Nickelodeon and the Movie Channel had been uplinked. Said facility was planned to be expanded to handle the needs, but the deal fell apart when Warner Amex was unable to reach a deal with Channel 4's ownership, considering a long-term lease. MTV would later move the studio facilities to the Unitel Video Complex located on 57th Street, ironically across the street from the CBS Broadcast Center, owned by future corporate sibling CBS in 1987. They would remain there until 1995 when MTV chose to begin producing studio content in-house. Well, as programming chief, Robert W. Pittman recruited and managed a team of co-founders from the launch that included Tom Freeston, who succeeded as CEO, Fred Siebert, and John Sykes. They were joined by Carolyn Baker, original head of talent and acquisition, Marshall Cohen, the original head of research, Gail Sparrow of talent and acquisition, Sue Steinberg, executive producer, Julian Goldberg, Steve Lawrence, Jeff Bolton, and studio producers and MTV News writers and associate producers Liz Neelan, Neil LaPook, and Robert Zorn, Steve Casey, who created the name MTV and was the first program director, Marcy Braffman, Richard Shinkman, Ronald E. Buzz Brindle, and Robert Morton. Kenneth M. Miller was credited as MTV's first technical director at the New York-based network operations facility. Well, within 2 months, record stores were selling music that MTV that local radio stations were not playing, such as Men at Work, Bow Wow Wow, and The Human League. MTV also sparked the second British invasion, featuring existing videos by British acts that had been using the format for several years on the BBC's Top of the Pops. MTV was targeted an audience of ages 12 to 34. However, its self-conducted research showed that over 50% of its audience was from 12 to 24, and that group watched for an average of 30 minutes to 2 hours a day. As the PBS series Frontline explored, MTV was a driving force that catapulted music videos to a mainstream audience, turning music videos into an art form as well as a marketing machine that became beneficial to artists. Now, MTV's earliest formats was modeled after album-oriented rock radio. It underwent a transition to emulate a full top 40 station in 1984. I remember the days when they used to have the top 20 video countdown. Fresh-faced young people hosted the programming and introduced videos. Many VJs became celebrities in their own right. The 5 original VJs in 1981 were Nina Blackwood, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, J.J. Jackson, and Martha Quinn. Popular New York DJ Meg Griffin was slated to become a VJ, but decided against it at the last minute. Well, they were hired to fit certain demographics for the channel they were trying to obtain. Goodman was the affable everyman, Hunter the popular jock, Jackson the hip radio veteran, Blackwood the bombshell vixen, and Quinn the girl next door. Now, due to uncertainty around the channel's success, the VJs were told not to buy permanent residences and to keep their second jobs. The VJs also recorded intro and outro voiceovers before broadcast, along with music news, interviews, concert dates, and promotions. These segments would appear to air live and debut on MTV 24/7, but they were pre-taped within a regular work week on MTV Studios. Now, rock bands performers of the 1980s who appeared on MTV would range from new wave to soft rock and heavy metal, including bands like Adam Ant, Bryan Adams, Pat Benatar, Blondie, The Cars, Culture Club, Def Leppard, Dire Straits, whose 1985 song actually included the slogan, "I want my MTV" in its lyrics, Duran Duran, The Eurythmics, Peter Gabriel, Genesis, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Billy Idol, Michael Jackson, Billy Joel, John Mellencamp, Motley Crue, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, The Police, Prince, Rat, Ultravox, U2, Van Halen, and ZZ Top. Well, in 1984, more record companies and artists began making clips, realizing the popularity of MTV and the growing medium. Now, to accommodate the influx of videos, MTV announced changes to its playlist in the November 3, 1984 issue of Billboard, which took effect the next week. Playlist rotations categories were expanded from 3, light, medium, and heavy, to 7, new, light, breakout, medium, active, heavy, and power. This ensured the artists with chart hits got the exposure they deserved, with medium being a home for more established hits still on the climb up the top 10, and heavy a home for the big hits, without the bells and whistles, just the exposure they commanded. Now, in 1983, a movie debuted called Flashdance, which was the first film whose promoters supplied MTVs with musical clips to compose promotional videos, which the channel included in its regular rotation. The channel also rotated the music videos of one of my personal favorites, Weird Al Yankovic, who made a career out of parodying other artists' videos. It also aired several of his specials in 1980s and 90s under the title Owl TV. PSAs and promotions of charitable causes and the NPS were woven into the MTV fabric. In response to the AIDS epidemic, MTV initiated a safe sex campaign in 1985, believing that many youths would be more open to the message than from their parents. Its safe sex campaign continues today with It's Your Sex Life. Now, 1986 brought the departure of 3 of the 5 original VJs, with J.J. Jackson moving back to Los Angeles and returning to radio, while Nina Blackwood moved on to pursue new roles on TV. Martha Quinn's contract was not renewed in late 1986, and she departed the network. However, she was brought back in early 1989 and stayed until 92. Downtown Julie Brown was hired as a replacement for the VJ, and in mid-1987, Alan Hunter and Mark Goodman ceased being full-time MTV VJs. Now, on the 10th of September 1991, Nirvana released Smells Like Teen Spirit, the lead single to their second studio album, Nevermind. Its music video premiered on the 29th of September that year and rapidly became MTV's most popular and most requested video. The video won 2 MTV Video Music Awards and was in heavy rotation on MTV during the 1990s. Amy Finnerty, formerly of MTV's programming department, claimed the video changed the entire look of MTV by giving the channel a whole new generation to sell to. In 2000, the Guinness World Records named it the most played video on MTV Europe. Rolling Stone placed the music video for Smells Like Teen Spirit at number 2 on their 1993 list of top 100 music videos. MTV ranked the song's music video at number 3 on its 100 greatest music videos ever made list in 1999. Now, from 1995 to 2000, MTV played 36.5% fewer music videos. MTV President Van Tolfer stated, "Clearly, the novelty of just showing music videos has worn off. It's required to reinvent ourselves to a contemporary audience." The network would launch MTV Radio Network in 1995 with Westwood One, and despite targeted efforts to play certain types of music videos in limited rotation, MTV greatly reduced its overall rotation of music videos by the mid-2000s.
I remember that.
Yeah, a 10% programming block to top shows and specials was created, called 10 Spot. Dana Fuges was the promo voice actor and writer for promoting these shows. MTV would also venture into adult animation with shows like Beavis and Butthead, Celebrity Deathmatch, Undergrads, Clone High, and Daria.
Nope.
On the animated shows that aired, Beavis and Butthead and Daria ended up being the most successful, with both shows developing a cult following. Daria also included 2 full-length TV films, Is It Fall Yet and Is It College Yet?, which originally aired on MTV in 2000 and 2002, respectively. Shows you how much I followed their animation. I never saw both, and I didn't care to.
No idea.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, the 1996 Beavis and Butthead film, Beavis and Butthead Do America, aired on MTV in 1999 after previous objections from the show creator Mike Judge. Apparently he had a lot of pull on his own movie. Now, beginning in 1997, MTV progressively reduced the airing of rock music videos, leading to the slogan among skeptics, "Rock is dead." 2 years later, in the fall of 1999, MTV announced a special return of the Rock Weekend, in which new rock acts received airtime, in which compilation albums were released. By 2000, Linkin Park, Sum 41, Jimmy Eat World, Mudvayne, Cold, At the Drive-In, Alien Ant Farm, and other acts were added to the musical rotation. MTV also launched a subscription channel, MTVX, to play rock music videos exclusively. That would have been fun to watch.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah. In 1997, MTV introduced its new studios in Times Square. MTV created 4 shows in the late 1990s that centered on music videos: MTV Live, Total Request, Say What, and 12 Angry Viewers. A year later, in 1998, MTV merged the Total Request and MTV Live into a live daily top 10 countdown show, Total Request Live, which was later known as TRL. The original host was Carson Daly. The show included a live studio audience and was filmed in a windowed studio that allowed crowds to look in. According to Nielsen, the average audience for the show was at its highest in 1999 and continued with strong numbers through 2001. The program played top 10 pop, rock, R&B, and hip-hop music videos and featured live interviews with artists and celebrities. In 2003, Carson Daly left MTV and TRL to focus on his late-night talk show on NBC. When Daly left TRL, the show's popularity declined. The series came to an end with a special finale episode, Total Finale Live, which was aired November 16, 2008, and featured hosts and guests that previously appeared on the show.
Interesting.
Yep. In 1998 to 2003, MTV also aired several other music television programs from its studios. These programs included Say What Karaoke, a game show. In early 2000, MTV aired VJ for a Day, hosted by Ray Munz. MTV also featured Hot Zone, which hosted by Amanda Lewis, was featured pop music videos during the midday time period. Other programs at that time include Sucker Free and Beat Sweet. Now, around 1999 through 2001, MTV was airing fewer music videos throughout the day. It regularly aired compilation specials from its 20-year history to look back at its roots. An all-encompassing special, MTV Uncensored, premiered in 1999 and was later released as a book. Janet Jackson became the inaugural honoree of the MTV Icon Award, an annual recognition of artists who have made significant contributions to music videos, and pop culture, while tremendously impacting the MTV generation. Subsequent recipients included Aerosmith, Metallica, and The Cure. Now, over that next decade, MTV would engage in channel drift, generally expanding its programming outside of music videos with programming lightly or heavily related to music. MTV became known for its reality programming, some of which followed the lives of musicians. The Osbournes, which was based on Ozzy Osbourne and his family, premiered in 2002. It also kicked off a musical career for Kelly Osbourne, while Sharon Osbourne went on to host her own self-titled talk show on U.S. television. Production ended for the Osbournes in 2004. 2007, A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila, chronicling MySpace sensation Tila Tequila's journey to find a companion, was the subject of criticism due to Tequila's bisexuality. MTV also spawned the paranormal reality TV genre with the broadcast of MTV's Fear in 2000.
I don't remember that one.
While music videos were featured on MTV up to 8 hours per day in 2000, the year 2008 saw the average of just 3 hours of music videos per day at MTV. It had been speculated that the rise of social media and websites like YouTube as an outlet for the promotion and viewing of music videos led to this reduction.
Yeah, maybe.
During the time, MTV hired Nancy Bennett as Senior VP of Creative and Content Development for MTV Networks Music. As the decade progressed, MTV video blocks would be relegated to early morning hours, and during his acceptance speech in 2007, Justin Timberlake implored MTV to play more damn videos in response to these changes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, prior to Total Request Live ending its run in 2008, MTV was experimenting with its remaining music programming under new formats. MTV first premiered a new music video programming block called FNMTV and a weekly special event called FNMTV Premieres, hosted from Los Angeles by Peter Wentz of the band Fall Out Boy, which was designed to premiere new music videos and have viewers provide instantaneous feedback. AMTV, an early morning block, debuted in 2009. The block would be rebranded as Music Feed in 2013 with a reduced schedule, and unlike FNM-TV, featured many full-length music videos, news updates, interviews, and performances. MTV would continue to air music programming over the next decade with the return of MTV Unplugged in 2009. The debut of 10 on Top on May 2010, and Hip Hop Point of View on April 12, 2012. And of course, in 2009, they actually went ahead and debuted everybody's either side of the fence Jersey Shore.
Ah, yes.
Goodbye.
Goodness.
Yes. It would take and have rating success through its run, spawning the franchise, but it would also attract various controversies, and with backlash towards what some consider too much superficial content on the network. A 2009 New York Times article also revealed plans to shift MTV's focus towards more socially conscious media, which the article labeled MTV for the Obama era. Shortly after Michael Jackson died in June of 25th, the channel aired several hours of Jackson's music videos, accompanied by live news specials featuring reactions from MTV personalities and other celebrities. The temporary shift in MTV's programming culminated the following week with the channel's live coverage of the Jackson Memorial Service. MTV aired similar one-hour live specials and music videos and news updates following the death of Whitney Houston in 2012 and the death of Adam Yauch of the Beastie Boys on May 4th of 2012. Now, from 2010 to the present, MTV would drop the music television branding. The network would still air video premieres on occasion, both television and real-time interaction with artists and celebrities on its website. Throughout the decade, music programming on the network would be scaled back. To me personally, I think this is where they made their critical mistake, but what do I know? I'm just an old person. In April of 2016, the then-appointed MTV president, Sean Atkins, announced plans to restore music programming to the channel. He announced the new Unplugged episodes to begin airing on April 21st, as well as a new weekly performance series called Wonderland. On that same day, immediately after the death of Prince, MTV interrupted its usual programming to air Prince's music videos. In July of 2017, it was announced that TRL would be returning to the network on October 2nd, 2017. Throughout the latter half of the 2010s, it was observed that the MTV daily schedule came to predominantly consist of film broadcasts and frequent marathons of select original programming similar to other cable networks. By 2020, MTV had drawn criticism from various blogs and news outlets for an over-reliance on ridiculousness marathons.
Yes. I hated that damn show.
Oh, yeah.
It annoyed me.
Yeah. In June of that year, episodes of the series aired for 113 hours on the network's entire 168-hour lineup. That's a lot of ridiculousness. Alongside its unscripted slate, MTV would produce more scripted programming, shows such as Awkward, an American version of Skins, and a reimagining of Teen Wolf. In June of 2012, the network announced the development of a television series based on the Scream franchise. Angel would have loved that. And as MTV would pivot back to unscripted programming towards the end of the decade, some of these shows would be moved on to other networks. Chris McCarthy was named the president of MTV in 2016, and in 2021, McCarthy was named president and CEO of MTV Entertainment Group, which oversees Comedy Central, Paramount Network, TV Land, CMT, and the Smithsonian Channel. But as we have right now, if you look at MTV, it doesn't look anything like it did back in the 80s. You got almost 4 straight hours of ridiculousness every morning.
Yeah, I think I see a music video every once in a while if I'm up really early.
Don't forget your marathon of Catfish.
Catfish and ridiculousness are probably the only things we really watch on that. And ridiculousness is fun.
Yeah.
Catfish is weird and sometimes entertaining.
And then usually on the weekends they'll have a themed marathon of TV movies or something like that they'll sketch out 4 or 5 shows in a row. But yeah, MTV, to me, I enjoyed it back in the 80s when they, introduced a lot of the local people to bands like Duran Duran, stuff like that, because out here you just didn't get that sort of play from the radio stations, and so it was kind of a nice modicum of choices to work with coming over the TV waves. But folks, this has been the Bud Files. This has been the Bearded Historian, and we will see you guys next week. Stay safe out there.